What's laying the nest, YouTube? Birdtendo here, and welcome to Birdtendo 2.0. This is a brand new channel I made. Unfortunately, my old channel Birdtendo got cut off due to some violation of community guidelines by YouTube, as they kept on adding up stuff. I guess I was just way too much of a savage for that channel, but in Birdtendo 2.0, I promise I'll be more friendlier than usual. But as I started out on my old channel, again, I have a huge stack of Pokemon cards. And actually, I just want to show this one off real quick because it's the rarest card in my set. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a 2003 Aerodactyl EX from EX Sandstorm. The rarest Pokemon card in my collection from 2003. Has the Pokebody, which is something different. This Pokebody says it's Primal Lock, and as long as Aerodactyl EX is in play, your opponent can't play Pokemon Tool cards. Remove any Pokemon Tool cards attached to your opponent's Pokemon and put them into his or her discard pile. Has Supersonic for 10 and 1 colorless. The defending Pokemon is now confused. And Wing Attack for 60, which requires 3 colorless. Weak to electricity, resist into fighting, and 1 retreat cost. So it's a pretty speedy Pokemon. And it's the rarest one in my set, sleeved up and encased in some shit. And I just swore, damn it. And let's just begin our let's begin looking at our cards here from previous sets I've opened up. Starting off with the Black and White era, which is my favorite one. I have a promo Deoxys EX from I believe this is from Plasma Storm as a different print. This Deoxys I actually played, but it was quite broken. And this was before I deleted the TCGO, because honestly it ruined my life. If you look closely, it has the ability Power Connect, which says your Team Plasma Pokemon's attacks, excluding Deoxys EX, do 10 more damage to the active Pokemon before applying weakness and resistance. And this required Plasma Energy to be come into this. It does Helix Force for 30 plus for a Psychic and a Colorless. And it says, if this Pokemon has any Plasma Energy attached to it, this attack does 30 more damage for each energy attached to the defending Pokemon. So if you face up with a Lugia or a Tapu Lele from a set, well, it's going to be knocked out easily because of this thing. And honestly, Deoxys is an okay thing. And I thought I got a Mega Evolution, but I was an idiot. Next up, we have a Full Art Reshiram from Legendary Treasures. Unlike other Full Arts, this one is not textured, because it's a part of the Radiant Collection. For 2 colorless, it's a fire type by the way, it has the move Outrage. For 2 colorless, it does 20 damage plus 10 more damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. Usually in the Pokemon games, if you use Outrage, you can Rampage and attack for 3 turns, but then you become confused due to fatigue. Honestly, that just sounds awesome. And Blue Flare for 2 fire and a colorless, it does 120, but you gotta discard 2 fire energy attached to this Pokemon. They introduced Burning Energy back in one of the sets, so this will become very useful, so you can use it endlessly. Next up here, we have Zekrom EX from the same set, Legendary Treasures. It's like the print from Next Destinies, but I think they added some stars or something. It has the move Glinting Claw for 3 electric and for 1 electric and 2 colorless. Sorry. It does 50 damage, but if you flip a coin, if you're lucky, if it lands on heads, it does 30 more damage. And Strong Volt for 150, which requires 2 lightning and 2 colorless. It does 150, but you got to discard 2 energy. And I'm not sure how that would work out. Maybe if you play a Magnezone, which is probably becoming an alternative typing in Forbidden Light, which is the new set coming out for the new set. This card is pretty dented up. It's a Victini EX from the same set, by the way, Legendary Treasures. I believe this card, I think, came out in Plasma Freeze. I'm not sure. It's got the move Turbo Energize. It says, search your deck for 2 basic energy cards and attach them to your bench Pokemon any way you like, and shuffle your deck afterward to add to the suspense. I didn't add the to add to the suspense part. It just says shuffle your deck afterward. And that's just for 1 fire. An Intensifying Burn for 1 fire and 2 colorless. It does 50 damage. If the defending Pokemon is a Pokemon EX, this attack does 50 more damage. This carried on to a Rayquaza EX in Roaring Skies, but honestly, Victini did it way much better. And way much better than the others did. So there is that. Next up, we have Meloetta EX from Legendary Treasures. And a very nice pattern on the attacks, even though you can barely see them. It's got the move Brilliant Voice for 2 DCE, for 1 DCE if you have it. And it says, flip a coin if heads, the defending Pokemon is not asleep, and if tails, the defending Pokemon is not confused, and it does 20 damage for that. And Round, which requires 3 Psychic Energy, it does 30 damage times the number of your Pokemon that have the Round attack. So if you have like 3 more Meloettas in as a place set, it would probably do 120, and you probably knock out somebody easily who's weak to Psychic. For example, the Deoxys I showed off earlier. Next up, we have Shaman EX from Legendary Treasures. This is honestly a bit close enough to the full art Shaman for Roaring Skies, but it's Grass type and it's a bit weak. It has a move called Synthesis. For 1 Grass Energy, you can search your deck for a Grass Energy card and attach it to one of your Pokemon and shuffle your deck afterward to add to the same suspense. And Revenge Blast for 1 Grass and 1 Colorless. It will do 30 more damage for each prize card your opponent has taken. So if you're just down to 1, well, I think you're going to see Jesus. I don't know. But I do love this artwork. It's really nice. And I already read off the attacks, but here's the full art Meloetta. And I've already read off the attacks, so you guys don't have to see me read them off again. But if you want to see the full art, that's a really spectacular one. Made by the same guy, SK Yoshinobu. Really nice artwork, by the way. Very cool. I have a Venusaur EX from Generations. This is honestly closest enough to the XY base set because we're already on XY right now. But here's a Venusaur EX. Has the move Poison Powder for 1 Grass and 2 Colorless. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now Poison, and it does it for 60. In the background, a Vileplume and a Scyther are having some fun there. And Jungle Hammer for 90, which requires 2 Grass and 2 Colorless, and you can heal 30 damage from this Pokemon. I would show off Mega Venusaur, but I only got the closest ones from Evolutions as full arts. Here's the same Venusaur with the same attacks, but different artwork. This is a promo tin I got. If you guys see me open it up on my old channel, you guys shouldn't have seen that. Should have seen it before it got taken down. Damn it, YouTube. Next up, we have Blastoise EX from the same Blastoise box. The other one was from a Venusaur box where I only got a Holo Gengar. Stupid scam. For 2 Colorless, and it does 30 for a Rapid Spin, you can switch this Pokemon out with one of your bench Pokemon, then you can have your opponent switch out. And for 3 Water Energy, it has Splash Bomb for 120. And if you're unlucky, if the coin flips on tails, this Pokemon does 30 damage to itself. And Vaporeon and Gyarados are having some fun there. I don't even have Pikachu because, unfortunately, due to some budget going around, I stopped collecting Generations. But I may revisit the set. Here's the same Blastoise with the attacks, but the artwork is different. They printed a newer Blastoise with the Sun and Moon Holo texture. Next up, we have Xerneas EX, literally the only X and Y base set EX pull I've ever gotten. Has the move Breakthrough for 1 Fairy Energy and 2 Colorless. It does 60, and this attack does 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. I actually play the shiny Xerneas one, and it has the move X-Blast for 2 Fairy and 2 Colorless. It has 140 damage, but it can't use X-Blast during your next turn. But it's okay, you can always use Breakthrough and just knock somebody out who's weak to Dragon. And if someone's weak to Dragon, use X-Blast, that's an instant knockout. Well, here's the same as Xerneas with the attacks, but it's a bit white because it's shiny. I actually have a shiny Xerneas in my box, but I don't really want to play it. Next up is the only Yveltal card I have in my set. I know this came out during the era of Fates Collide. I have the tin for it. But here's the Yveltal EX Shiny Bacon Bird. I love the colors on that thing. Has the move Evil Ball, which is spam really good because it's a nice attack. For 1 Darkness and 1 Colorless, it does 20 damage and 20 more times the amount of energy attached to both active Pokemon. It's a more lethal version of Lugia EX from the same set. And Y Cyclone for 1 Darkness and 2 Colorless, it does a 90, but you gotta move an energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench. I see people don't really play that one, but they could play the Evil Ball, but not Y Cyclone. That's only a rare instance. Moving on to Flash Fire, we have Magnezone EX. Now, I don't have that much of cards on Flash Fire, but honestly, people are saying that this is the worst EX to come out. Honestly, I can literally see it. Its move Electro Ball for 2 colorless does 40. I guess that's okay. Dual Bullet can do much better. Even though the move does 50 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon, but you don't apply weakness or resistance for that, just to make it fair enough. But honestly, people do not want to play this Magnezone. I actually played this one time. I never wanted to play it again. I have the promo for this next card. This is the last card I have for Flash Fire. Here's a Charizard EX. Very playable card, by the way. The move Stoke for 1 colorless. If you're lucky, if the coin flips on heads, you can search your deck for up to 3 basic energy cards and attach them to this Pokemon and shuffle your deck afterward. If you have a Burning Energy on your side and if you're lucky to hit the Stoke and lucky enough to not have your special energy discarded, you can use Fire Blast for 120 and discard that Fire Burning Energy and have it come back so you can easily spam it. I actually do that trick lots. Moving on up, we have Furious Fists. I only have 2 cards from this set. First off is Seismitoad EX from this set. Really weird Seismitoad got an EX in this. Has a move called Quaking Punch for 30 and 2 colorless. Your opponent cannot play any item cards from his or her hand during his or her next turn. Just say their next turn. That would be much better. But people love to spam that Quaking Punch. I was actually facing off a Greninja deck on the TCGO. I had some fun with that. And here's Grenade Hammer for 130 for 2 water and 1 colorless. The attack does 30 damage to 2 of your bench Pokemon, but don't apply weakness or resistance. So if you're playing a fire or water deck, you're going to be okay. Next up, we have a secret rare Mega Lucario from Furious Fist. I got this out of a Mega Lucario box. What a surprise. It has the move Rising Fist for 140 for 3 fighting energy. If you land the attack, you can just permanently discard an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. Honestly, that is lethal. And based on the card, it's all gold and everything. The golden Japanese text over there. That is a really nice card to play. Next up, we're moving on to Furious Phantom Forces. I don't have that much cards with Phantom Forces because I wasn't really into the TCG that much. We have a Malamar EX. Very playable, by the way, with its Hyper Hypnosis ability. When you attach an energy from your hand to this Pokemon, you may use this ability and your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep. And if you look closely on this Malamar, you see some ripples coming off of that, seeing that he's using his eye to put you to sleep. And Maximard for 60, you can flip a coin for each energy attached to this Pokemon, just 60 damage times the number of heads. Which means if you're lucky enough, if you play like an infinite amount of energy, that's going to easily kill somebody, if you're lucky. Unless they all flip on tails and you're not lucky. Next up, we have Mega Manectric EX. Actually, I used to own this card as my first ever Mega Evolution. Actually got it back from a mystery power box I opened up. Really nice. However, Mega Manectric has the same animations in X and Y, according to his model. It's just like the same animation, just a model. That's it. And it has the move Turbo Bolt for 1 electric and 1 colorless. It does 110. You can attach 2 basic energy cards from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. So if you can play Mega Manectric with Malamar, if you have another Manectric on your side, that's going to hurt. They actually printed a full art Mega Manectric in the Mega Powers collection. And they also printed a full art Mega Lucario, but not the one which I had a secret rare with. Next up, we have Jamming Net, which is a Team Flare Hyper Gear. And basically, it works differently from other Pokemon tools. You can attach it to one of your opponent's Pokemon EX that doesn't already have a Pokemon tool attached to it. And it says the attacks of the Pokemon's cards attached do 20 less damage to all defending Pokemon before applying weakness and resistance. But when it's removed from a Pokemon for any reason, you gotta put it in your discard pile. If they're trying to steal or something, just call the judge up. Moving on to Promo Clash, I got some pretty decent pulls from Promo Clash actually. We have a Kyogre EX, pull this baby out of a Mega Blaziken box. Has to move Water Pulse for 1 water and 1 colorless. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep after dealing 30 damage off that. And Giant Whirlpool for 140 for 2 water and 2 colorless. You can return 2 energy attached to this Pokemon to your hand. You can put them back and use Water Pulse and hope to God he just keeps on sleeping, you know. Next up, I had a big history with this thing. I used to own a Sharpedo EX, but I lost it and I actually got it back from a previous pull before I opened up the Mega Aerodactyl box. Sharpedo EX has the move Hunt for 1 Darkness and 1 Colorless, so you can switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with his or her active Pokemon. And the attack does 3 damage to the new active Pokemon. And Jagged Fang for 100 if you use 2 Darkness and 1 Colorless. You can discard energy attached to this Pokemon, then discard an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. However, it's different from other ones as it's weak to lightning, because it's water dark and honestly has the ability Rough Skin, but not on this card though. I've seen the Mega Sharpedo EX Premium Collection, but I never owned Mega Camerupt before, nor the original Camerupt. Next up, we have a Full Art Mega Aggron from the same set. I actually got both Mega Aggrons here, and I love the artwork of this, the blue background and the massive bulk of Mega Aggron. And it just becomes a pure steel type, that's it. And it has Megaton Slam for 120 plus for 2 steel and 2 colorless. You may flip a coin. This is a daredevil move. As if it lands on heads, attack does 120 more damage. But if it does tails, it does 20 damage to each of your bench Pokemon. So you never know what this thing is going to hit. For a clearer version of Mega Aggron, here's the same one, but with the same attack, but different artwork as it's the regular print. Next up is my little brother's favorite. This is a Full Art Groudon EX from the same set, so I have both Kyogre and Groudon. Has the move Rip Claw for 1 fighting and 1 colorless. You can flip a coin, and if that's discard energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon after you're done dealing 30 off it. I actually had some fun with this Groudon. Only a rare instance where I played Massive Rend. For 3 fighting and 1 colorless, it will do 130 and can easily knock out a normal type or a dark type. For a clearer version of it, I have the same Groudon with the same attacks, but with different artwork. This time made by 5-Bind Graphics, even though it does look like it was made by SK Yoshinobu, based on just the artwork of it, just a little bit off a bit. Next up, we have Wailord EX with 250 HP. It's a very bulky mon with the ability Water Veil. Whenever you attach an energy card from your hand to this Pokemon, remove all special conditions from it, which means if it's paralyzed or something, you can easily get rid of it. And honestly, high breaching for 120, but with 5 water energy, it'll be asleep. But you can always attach another one. I actually had a bit of a struggle playing this Wailord EX. Next up, we have Trevenant EX, the full art one, which I pulled out of a mystery power box. This one has the move Dark Forest for 1 grass energy. For 20, and the defending Pokemon cannot retreat during your opponent's next turn. And Wood Blast for 50, and for 3 colorless, unless you have grass type energy, it'll do 20 more damage for each grass energy attached to this Pokemon. So think of all the fun you'll have. And I actually have a clearer version of that, so here it is with its different artwork. You can only see its shining eye, that's it. Next up, I have some trainers here. We have Maxie's Hidden Ball Trick. You can only play this card only when it's the last card in your hand. You can put a fighting Pokemon from your discard pile onto your bench, then draw 5 cards. You can see Maxie chilling out the swirling magma. We also got Teammates, and this is actually a really nice card. You can only play this card only if one of your Pokemon was knocked out during your opponent's last turn. You can search your deck for up to 2 cards and put them in your hand and shuffle your deck afterward. And I have a secret rare which I traded in one of my old Mega Scizors. Here's a secret rare switch, and it just switches out one of your Pokemon. It's really basic, but it's gold, and it's really cool. There was also a set where it's based on it's like a subset where it's based on the fighting of Team Magma and Team Aqua. I used to own Team Magma's Groudon EX, but I accidentally traded in. I just blindly traded it. So I have Team Aqua's Kyogre EX with a whopping 190 HP. It has the ability Power Saver, which means if there are 4 or fewer Team Aqua Pokemon in play, this Pokemon cannot attack. An Aqua Impact for 80 plus and 3 water energy and 1 colorless. This attack does 20 more damage for each colorless in your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost. Oh man, I'm running out of breath then. I actually like this artwork. You see one of the admins in there? Look at that. Look at that. See that? That's what a woman should look like. There's Kyogre with Seviper and Walrein in the background as well. It's a very playable card. Moving on to Roaring Skies, we have my official mascot of the channel. We have a full art Mega Rayquaza EX. This is actually the good kind of card to play. It's colorless though, even though it's weak to lightning, but resistance to fighting. Has the move Emerald Break, and you can just admire everything of this Mega Rayquaza. It's really good. This Emerald Break move does 30 damage times the number of your benched Pokemon. So if you have Skyfield in play, it's going to be an instant kill, and it's a little bit creased on the back because I was wearing skinny jeans when I was in high school. Junior high. Next up, we have a regular Rayquaza EX. This is a Dragon type. It has Dragon Claw for 30 and for 2 colorless, and Dragon Strike for 130 for 2 fire and 1 electric. But if you flip a coin, it's on tails, it cannot use Dragon Strike. Well, I guess that's useful. Next up, we have a Troll card, a Thunderous EX. I actually have this card. It has the move Headlock for 30 plus. If you flip a coin, if it's heads, it does 30 more damage. But if you flip on tails, the Pokemon is paralyzed. And Voltage Rush for 150 and for 3 electric. The other one was for 1 electric and 1 colorless. And it does 50 damage to itself. It's very weak. This card was actually my favorite and my lifesaver card. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my Latios EX I used to play on the TCGO. It has the move Fast Break for 1 Psychic and for 40. If you go first, you can use this attack on your first turn. And for Light Pulse, which has a nice, satisfying 110. And for 1 Water, 2 Psychic, and 1 Colorless, if you have Double Dragon, just blow through. You can prevent all effects of your opponent's attacks except damage done to this Pokemon, which means if it uses an attack which involves discarding energy, it won't be hit by anything at all. So that's a really nice card to play. Next up, we have Mega Latios EX. I actually have this card. It has the move Sonic Ace, and you can see Mega Latios and Mega Latios have the different and the same Mega Evolution, but the only difference is the eye color. However, Latios never got a Mega Evolution, but it has the move Sonic Ace, which it has to discard 2 energy attached to this Pokemon. It does 120 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon, but you don't apply weakness or resistance if it's a benched one. Next up, we have Galade X. This is a very nice, actually, this is a very playable card to play. Has the move Swift Lunge for 30 and for 1 Psychic and 1 Colorless. You may have your opponent switch his or her active Pokemon with one of his or her bench Pokemon. And Piercing Prize is for 3 Psychic and for 50. It does 20 more damage for each of your remaining prize cards, which means if you're down to 1, it's going to hurt. Or something, I don't know. Next up, we have a Full Art Wally. My little brother actually gave this to me. It says, search your deck for a card that evolves from one of your Pokemon, excluding Pokemon EX, and put it onto that Pokemon and shuffle your deck afterward. And it also counts as evolving it. You can use this card during your first turn or for a Pokemon that was put into place. So, this is a very nice card to play. Moving on to Ancient Origins, we have Hoopa EX. This is a very nice card, actually, with its Scoundrel Ring, which means if you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may search your deck for up to 3 Pokemon EX, except for Hoopa. Reveal them and put them into your hand, bring back the movie Hoopa and the Clash of Ages. And Hyperspace Fury for 3 Psychic, you have to discard 2 energy attached to this Pokemon. It does 100 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Similar to Sonic Ace, but very weak. And here's a God Mon I used to play, Lugia EX. I despise this card when opponents play it because it's almost in every single deck. It has Arrow Ball for 20 and 2 colorless, and it does 20 damage times the amount of energy attached to both active Pokemon. And Deep Hurricane for 80 plus, and if you have a Stadium card in play, it does 70 more, and you can discard it. And it's very, very powerful, as lots of people love to spam Arrow Ball. I also have another Hoopa right here, and it's the same attacks but different artwork. I used to have the promo of it, but I traded it off to somebody else. I have a Machamp EX. This one is very badly miscut. You can see a big thick border right there and a thin one right there. Has the move Steaming Mad for 20 times. It does 20 damage times the number of damage counters, and then it's confused for 1 fighting and 1 colorless. And Crazy Hammer for 80 plus. If this Pokemon is affected by a special condition, the attack does 80 more damage, then you can remove all the special conditions. So that's really nice. Here's the same Machamp. This is a promo I got from a tin. Same attacks, but different artwork. You can see that muscular arm coming about. This is honestly a much better artwork than the previous one we got. Next up, we have Mega Sceptile. I have Sceptile, but it's a different one. It was from a tin. Actually, this Mega Sceptile is very good. In the game, it has the ability Volt Absorb, which means it makes it immune to lightning type attacks. But the move here, Jagged Saber for 100 for 1 grass and 1 colorless. You can attach up to 2 grass energy cards from your hand to your bench Pokemon any way you like. If you attach all that energy to a Pokemon this way, you can heal all that damage, which is really good. And to wrap up Ancient Origins, we have Trainer's Mail. I don't have any Primal Reversions, unfortunately. But you can look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal a trainer card you find there, except for Trainer's Mail. You put it in your hand. You can shuffle the other cards back into your deck. It's a very good card, by the way. Also, awesome artwork. Moving on to Breakthrough, we have Mewtwo EX, the full art Mega X version. I don't have Mega Y, but I have the Y edition of Mewtwo. Not the Mega, though. Very nice artwork, by the way. You can barely see it a little bit. Has the move Vanishing Strike for 150 for 1 Psychic, 2 Fighting, and a colorless. If there's any Stadium card played, this attack does 50 more damage and is affected by resistance or any other effects. So this is like really good, but the Psychic Infinity one was really good. I have other 2 Mewtwo's here. I have a Shatter Shot Mewtwo. This is the Y edition. This is a promo as well. It does 30 damage times the amount of Psychic energy, and for 1 colorless, and damage change for 2 colorless and 1 for 2 Psychic and 1 colorless. You can play a Snake and switch all the damage counters with those on the other Pokemon. Like if you're high in HP in this one, the other one only has like 1, you can literally switch it up, and you can easily knock it out too. Here's one of my favorite Mewtwo here. This one came from a Mewtwo EX box. It has the move Photon Wave for 30, and during your opponent's next turn, any damage done by attacks from defending Pokemon is reduced by 30, and that's for 2 colorless. If you have Assault Vest, that's actually going to be fun. And Psyburn for 2 colorless, and for 2 Psychic, it does 120 and no additional effects. For Break Evolutions, as they were introduced in Breakthrough, I have Marowak Break. It's a golden Marowak toss and bone in my very first ever Break Evolution. You can see the crease on that. Has to move Bone Revenge for 20 plus and attack does 40 more damage for each prize card your opponent has taken. And that's for a fighting and a colorless. And it's at 140 HP. And that's what you get from Break Evolutions. Next up, we have Raichu Break. I actually have Raichu GX as well. And for 1 electric and 1 colorless, and for 2 colorless, you can use Grand Bolt for 170, but that means you got to discard all energy attached to this Pokemon. I actually used to own 2 of these Raichu Breaks. I traded 1 away for another card. Moving on to Breakpoint, I have 0 Break Evolutions in this set, by the way. We have Mega Gyarados EX, the full art variant of it. Has the move Blast Geyser for 120 and for 4 colorless, but you may do 20 more damage for each water energy attached to this Pokemon. If you do, you can discard the top 2 cards of your deck. It's a way of sacrificing something for some more damage, you know? It's like Belly Drum in Pokemon. You gotta tap your belly and then you gotta sacrifice HP to get your stats maxed up. Also, it's a full art as well, too. We also got the regular Gyarados. Please note, both of the Gyaradoses are shiny. Has the move Stormy Seas for a colorless. You can flip a coin until you get tails, and for each heads, search your deck for a water energy card attached to its Pokemon and shuffle your deck. People will get very lucky with that. And Splash Burn for 130, and for 2 colorless and 2 water, it does 10 damage to each of your bench Pokemon. So it's sort of like that Gyarados from Ancient Origins that people love to play. Next up, we have Mega Scizor EX. I actually used to own 2 of these. Has the move Iron Crusher for 120. You can see how nicely done that Scizor looks. It's also my first pull in the set. And you may discard a special energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon or a Stadium card in play. So it's like a bit of a daredevil choice. And if you do something wrong, you can do it the other way and you can kill it easily. Next up, we have Togekiss EX. Very nice card, by the way. Mighty Wind for 20. You may attach an energy card from your hand to one of your bench Pokemon for 1 fairy energy. And Hurricane Wing, flip 4 coins. The attack is 50 damage times the number of heads. And that's for that same 1 fairy, but for 3 colorless energy. And look how beautiful this card is. Really sad it didn't get a full art, though. That would be really magical. Actually, this card is really good. We have Espeon EX. Has the move Miraculous Shine, which means you can de-evolve each of your opponent's evolved Pokemon, put the highest stage evolution card on into your opponent's hand. Why not in your opponent's deck or something? That'd be really good. And Size Shock for 70, the other one had like one colorless. This one is for one Psychic and two colorless. For 70, the attack's damage isn't affected by anything, so this Espeon can easily attack card banks with Safeguard. And Suicunes as well with this same ability. Next up, we have Darkrai EX from the same set. Has the move Dark Pulse for 20 plus. It does 20 more damage with each Darkness Energy attached to all of your Pokemon. That's for two colorless, unless you got that Darkness Energy. And the move Dark Head for 80 plus. If your opponent's active Pokemon is asleep, it does 80 more damage. And that's for a Darkness and two colorless. Next up, I used to own the other variant of this card, but here's a full art Ho-Oh EX. I actually used to own the regular Ho-Oh, but my little brother got it wet and it's just immediately destroyed. Has the ability Purifying Fire. Once during your turn before your attack, if this Pokemon has any basic fire energy attached to it, you may heal 50 damage from it. Elemental Feather, forget this. One grass, one water, and one electric. It'll do 130 and 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon, which is really good. Moving on to Generations, which is a set I quitted on, we have a Golem EX. A bootleg company mistaken it to be an Evolutions, but that's okay. It has Boulder Crush for 80 for two fighting and one colorless, and Megaton Fall for 80 for three fighting and one colorless, and it does 60 damage to itself. And look at that Golem. It is really good. Unfortunately, I don't have Jolteon, but that's okay. Let me just adjust my cap there. Next up, we have Sylveon EX. I used to pull so many of these, I got really sick and tired of them. Has the move Dress Up for two colorless and 30 plus damage. If it has a Pokemon tool card attached to it, it does 60 instead of the usual 30. And Precious Ribbon for two fairy and one colorless, it does 100. You can move a fairy energy from this Pokemon for one of your bench Pokemon, and if you do, you can heal 50 damage from that, which is okay. Next up, we have Flareon EX. Has the ability Flash Fire. Once during your turn before you attack, you may move a fire energy from one of your Pokemon to this Pokemon. Has the move Blaze Ball for 50 plus and does 20 damage for each fire energy attached to this. And I have the full art variant. You can see Jolteon, Vaporeon chilling there, acting all cute. Next up, we have Ninetales EX. Very nice card. Has a move Flare bonus for one fire. You can discard a fire energy from your hand. If you do, you can draw 3 cards. Same move as Fire Blast, but it does 130. And for one fire and 3 colorless, you can flip a coin. And if it's tails, discard a fire energy attached to this Pokemon. So it functions very differently from Charizard. I dropped it. So it functions way differently from Charizard. And it's really good too. Next up, we have Gardevoir EX. This originally came from Primal Clash. It has been reprinted. Very nice Radiant Collection card, by the way. Has the move Life Leap for one fairy. You can heal this from this Pokemon the same amount of damage you did to your opponents, and it does 20 for that. And Shining Wind for 103 fairy. And during your next turn, this Pokemon has no weakness. Altaria did that as well, too. And I love the artwork on that. There's a Gardevoir, there's a Kirlia, and right there, there's a cute little Ralts. Look at that. Very cute Ralts right there. Next up, we have Mega Gardevoir EX. This is really nice. It has a shiny variant in there as well, too. And the Japanese text is red and black. Has to move Brilliant Arrow for one fairy and 2 colorless for 30 damage. It has 30 damage times the amount of fairy energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So if you play a fairy type deck, this will be very useful. And there's actually another Gardevoir in Steam Sage. Next up, we have Charizard EX with Flame Cloak. For one fire and 1 colorless. For 30, you can attach a fire energy card from your discard pile to this Pokemon. And Burning Breath for 80 plus. Don't wake up next to him. That's going to be 2 fire and 2 colorless. And you can flip 2 coins and it does 40 more damage. So it's going to be an instant kill if it reaches 160. Next up, we have Leafeon EX. Very, pretty much a bit of a theme. I actually opened up a Celebi box and it came out like that. Has to move Leaf Blade, and if you flip a coin, it does 30 more damage, as it does the original 30 if you don't flip that coin. And it requires a grass and a colorless. It also has a Nature's Breath. It does a 90 plus, and if there's any stadium card in play, this deck does 30 more damage, and you can heal 30 from this Pokemon. And, I wish I could do more, though. Moving on to Fates Collide, aka Sub-Bad set. It's actually okay. We have Mega Alakazam EX. Actually, this is actually my first card. Some kid gave it to me. It has the move Zen Force for 1 Psychic and 1 Colorless. The attack does 30 more damage for each damage counter in your opponent's active Pokemon, so it's sort of a sub-variant of Mega Tyranitar, which is a very good card. It does the usual 10 though, but I wish it could do more. But honestly, Alakazam in this set is actually pretty stupid. I got an itch in my eye. Next up, we have a secret rare Alakazam, which is the very first card I showed off. It has the ability Kinesis, and when you play Mega Alakazam from your hand if it evolves, you can put 2 damage counters on your opponent's active and 3 damage on one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Has the move Suppression, which means you can put 3 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon that has any energy attached to it. Man, I'm running low on energy. However, this is actually really nice. It has Umbreon and Lugia in the background, and there's Alakazam jumping off with some spoons. I have the full art one if you want to see something really sinister. I pulled this baby out of a Lunala GX box. This is actually okay. Very nice. Same attacks though. Next up, we have Zygarde EX. Very bad. Really sad I didn't get a full art card. Thankfully, it came out in Fates in the Mega Powers box, but has the move Lance Pulse for 20 plus. If there's any Stadium card in play, it does 20 more damage. And Cell Storm for 60, you can heal 30 damage, and Land's Wrath for 100. Both of them require fighting and colorless energy. Oh, I just dumped almost all my cards. I actually have some really good pulls in this set. Next up, we have Diancie EX. I actually have every single XY legend from the set. Has the ability Sparkle Veil. As long as this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, any damage is reduced by 30. And Wonder Stage is 60. And if there's any Stadium card in play, it'll do 50 more damage. And that is going to be 1 Fairy and 2 Colorless for that. So that's an awesome card to play. Next up, we have Kingdra EX. I actually pulled 2 of these, and I gave one of them to my sister. It has Big Storm for 20. You can discard any Stadium card in play. And Dragon Trail for 60 for 1 Water and 3 Colorless. It'll do 30 more damage for each basic lightning energy attached to it. And it's a very nice card, even though many people may mistake it. It has a really bad cut on there, you know. It might have been the first print run or something. Next up, we have Mega Audino EX. I don't have the original Audino. The original Audino is actually awesome. This one has Magical Symphony for 110, and it's 3 colorless. And if you play a supporter card from your hand during this turn, it'll do 50 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Honestly, I don't see any Pokemon that are weak to colorless, so yeah. I mean, that'll be okay. Next up, we have Glaceon EX. This thing actually has a really bad crease on it. Has the move Second Bite for 20 plus. It'll do 10 more damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. And it requires 1 water and 1 colorless. And Crystal Ray for 70 for 1 water and 2 colorless. You can prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from evolution. And this card is really badly dented up. I gotta get a new one or something. Next up, we have Regirock EX. It's a really nice card. I love the full art introduced in the Becks of X and Y. It almost made me cry. Has the ability Regipower, and the attacks of your fighting Pokemon do 10 more damage. It has the move Bedrock Press for 3 fighting and for 100. And during the next turn, any damage is reduced by 20. And for Break Evolution, I did okay. We have a Bronzong Break. Has the move Metal Rain, and it's really dented up a little bit. Has the move Metal Rain, and it's for 1 steel and 1 colorless. Discard as many steel energy attached to this Pokemon as you like. And for each energy card discarded in this way, choose one of your opponent's Pokemon and do 30 damage to it. And don't apply weakness and resistance. It can choose the same one more than once, so that's a bit of a trickster right there. Next up, we have Delphox Break. This is actually my first Break evolution from Fates Collide. Has the ability Flare Witch. And once during your turn before you attack, you may search your deck for a fire energy card attached to one of your Pokemon. And it can work with the XY Delphox. It will work very well. Moving on to Steam Stage, or to me, it's the worst set ever. We have Volcanion EX with the ability Steam Up. This is actually the promo. I don't even have the original. And once during your turn before you attack, you may discard a fire energy card from your hand. If you do, during this turn, your basic fire Pokemon attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active. And Volcanic Heat for 130, this Pokemon cannot attack. And that's going to be for a 2 fire and a colorless, so I guess that's okay. Next up, we have a Full Art Gardevoir EX, and the shiny one, and the shiny Mega one in this set requires you to discard a Pokemon from your bench. This one is really different though. It has to move Link Blast for 30 for 1 fairy and 1 colorless. If this Pokemon, your opponent's active Pokemon, has the same amount of energy attached to them, it does 70 more. And Luminous Blade for 2 fairy and 1 colorless for 120. That means you have to discard an energy attached to it. Next up, we have the regular Gardevoir. The same attacks, but different artwork. And here's my very first pull on the channel. A Magearna EX Full Art. A great start to my older channel, unfortunately got taken down. Has the ability Mystic Heart. Prevent all effects of your opponent's attacks that damage on each of your Pokemon that has any steel energy attached to it, but the existing effects are not removed. And Soul Blaster, it actually does something weird. It does 120 for 1 steel and 2 colorless, but during your next turn, the Soul Blaster does 60. I have the regular one here, same attacks, but different artwork. Looks like a promo, but honestly, it doesn't look like a promo. I do love the artwork on that Magearna, though. Here's a Full Art Steelix EX. Has the move Wild Edge for, get this, 1 steel and 3 colorless. It's really expensive. And it does 80, but you may do 50 more damage. And if you do, this Pokemon does 20 damage to itself. An Iron Tail for 100 times. This thing is really powerful. It's for 1 steel and 4 colorless. You can flip a coin until you get tails, and it does 100 damage times the number of heads. So it's really powerful. Next up, we have Xerneas Break. All those cards were actually in my... both Magearnas and this Xerneas Break were actually in my first ever opening. The Steam Stage Elite Trainer box. Has the move Light Stream for 20 times, and it does 20 damage times the amount of energy attached to all of your Pokemon. Moving on to evolutions, which has so much hate. Here's a Mega Pidgeot EX with Mach Cyclone for 3 colorless and 130 damage. You may have your opponent switch his or her active Pokemon with one of his or her bench Pokemon. And it's actually okay. It's an okay card to play. I've seen many of this card being played. My little brother actually gave this to me. It's a Pidgeot EX with Mirror Move. And if this Pokemon is damaged by an attack during your opponent's last turn, it'll do the same amount. So it's like the game. In Feather Lance for 80 and 3 colorless, the attack does 20 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. And here are the full art cards I was talking about. I'm going to start off with Mega Venusaur EX. Has Crisis Vine for 3 grass and 1 colorless. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed and poisoned. That is a very powerful attack and probably really annoying to deal with. We also have Mega Blastoise. Very nice tank coming off his shell. Has Hydro Bombard for 120 and for 3 water energy. The attack will do 30 to 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon instead of 1. And the awe-inspiring Full Art Mega Charizard with Crimson Dive. Get this. 2 fire, 3 colorless, 300, and just 52 itself. That's okay. That's actually an okay card. I actually did okay with evolutions, by the way. Next up, we have Mega Slowbro EX. I actually pulled the original Slowbro. I actually got this baby out. It has Law Roll Spin for 100 plus and for 3 water. The Pokemon is now confused, but if you're lucky, it'll land on a 200 for that same 100 there. I had the regular Slowbro, and honestly, they went really sarcastic with this slack off. You can heal 60, but it can't damage. And they say, why damage when you can relax? Like, we really want to attack somebody and Flash Splash for 100. That's okay. I got plenty of good break evolutions here. I have Ninetales Break. Has Explosive Fireball for 10. And for 1 fire and 1 colorless. The Flash Splash actually had to use 3 water. You can discard all fire energy attached to this Pokemon, and you can do 60 more damage to each fire energy you discard in this way. If you use burning energy, spam it. Next up was a recent pull I had in my Necrozma GX tin, ladies and gentlemen, Starmie Break. It has Break Star, which means you can do 100 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon Break. I don't think anyone will play Break evolution anymore. Next up, we have Nidoking Break. It has Toxic Drill for 120, and for 2 Psychic and a Colorless. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. You can put 2 damage counters instead of 1 on that Pokemon between turns. I almost have all the secret rares from the evolution set. I'll show them off right now. We have Surfing Pikachu as Surf for 30 and 2 Water. Flying Pikachu with Thunder Shock for 1 Electric Energy, and for 10 it'll be paralyzed. And Fly for 30 and 3 colorless. If you land it perfectly, it won't be affected by anything. And get this, its resistance is fighting, even though it's weak to it. Oh, and it dropped. Next up, we have Here Comes Team Rocket. It's a secret rare supporter, and each player turns all of his or her prize cards face up, and they remain face up for the rest of the game. And wrap up XY, we have the secret rare Japanese Executor. Has Stomp for 20, and if you flip a coin, it does 10 more damage. I don't even think this card will be playable, but it's okay. And it has 2 colorless if you want to deal that out. Moving on to Sun and Moon, we have a new type of ultra rare called GXs. And my first one that I got out of the set was Incineroar GX. He has the move Hustling Strike for 10. And it does 20 more damage for each of your bench fire Pokemon. Has the move Tiger Swing for 80 plus for 2 fire and a colorless. Flip 2 coins and attack does 50 more damage for each heads. And Burning Slam GX for 200. For that same 2 fire and a colorless, your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned and probably killed. Unless you're facing off against, like, let's say Lunala. Next up, we have Primarina GX, Water Fairy type. Really nice card. My little brother gave it to me. It has Bubble Beat for 10 plus. The attack does 20 more damage times the amount of water energy attached to your Pokemon. Roaring Seas for 120. For 3 water and a colorless, you can discard an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. And Grand Echo GX. For 2 colorless, you can heal all damage from all of your Pokemon. It's really nice. Speaking of really nice, I included its promo in here. This is a Lunala GX. It has the move Psychic. It has the ability Psychic Transfer. As often as you like during your turn, you can move a Psychic Energy from one of your Pokemon to another of your Pokemon. So it's sort of like the Deluge Blastoise a little bit. Has the move Moongeist Beam for 4 Psychic Energy. If it does 120, the Pokemon cannot be healed. And Lunar Fall GX. This is interesting. 3 Psychic, you can knock out one of your opponent's Pokemon that is not a GX. I'm pretty sure plenty of people play these GXs. My first full art from Sun and Moon, ladies and gentlemen, Tauros GX. Courtesy of an old YouTuber of mine, Tauros Openings. He actually gave this to me, and this is actually very, very playable. I never played this on the TCGO before, but has to move Rage for 20, and it does 10 more damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. And Horn Attack for 60, but all these attacks require 2 colorless, including Mad Bull GX for 30, and does 30 more damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. It's powerful. It is powerful, especially that Horn Attack does 60. Moving on to Guardians Rising, I actually nailed it on the brim. Here's a promo Tapu Koko GX that I got from the Tapu Koko tin. It's really interesting, by the way. Has the ability Arrow Trail. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may move any number of electric energy from your other Pokemon to this Pokemon, and if you do, you can switch it. Sky High Claws, 2 electric, 1 colorless. 130, can easily knock out Lugia. Tapu Thunder GX, 50 times. For that same 2 electric and 1 colorless, it'll do 50 damage times the amount of energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. So if you're playing like a spamming of Lugias, they're done for. Next up, we have a Lycanroc GX. This thingy actually survived a storm I had to walk out of. Has the ability Bloodthirsty Eyes. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, during your turn you may switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active Pokemon. And Claw Slash for 110. It requires 1 fighting and 2 colorless. And Dangerous Rogue GX. For 1 fighting and 1 colorless, it'll do 50 damage for each of your opponent's Pokemon. Times of that. My first full art from this, from Sun and Moon, that would be Vikavolt GX. I would have gotten the regular if it weren't for my little brother being a bitch. We have a Charge Beam, a move for 1 electric energy. It'll do 50. You can attach an energy card from your discard pile to this Pokemon. For 180 and for 1 electric and 3 of these colorlesses, you can use Super Zap Cannon for 180 and discard 2 energy from it. And Gigatron GX, for that same amount of cost as Super Zap Cannon, it'll do 60 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. And you don't apply weakness and resistance. And guys, call me a god, but yeah, Rainbow Tapu Lele. You guys seen that video before it got taken down because I think copyright or something. This thing is expensive. Playable, expensive, playable, expensive. Has the ability Wonder Tag. That's why. When you play this Pokemon from your hand on your bench during your turn, you may search your deck for a supporter card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Energy Drive, 20 plus, and for 2 colorless. It'll do 20 damage times the amount of energy attached to both active Pokemon, not affected by weakness or resistance. And Tapu Cure GX. For 1 Psychic, heal all damage from 2 of your bench Pokemon. That is the most expensive card. Moving on to Burning Shadows, though, we have an Alolan Muck GX. My little brother hates this Pokemon, by the way. He constantly gets it. Has Chemical Breath for 10 plus. For 1 Darkness and 2 colorless, it'll do 70 more damage for each special condition affecting your opponent's active Pokemon. Yeah, that's Ebola. And Crunch for 120 for 2 dark and 2 colorless. You can discard energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. And Tri-Hazard GX. It's no cost. You can switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active, and they're burned, paralyzed, and poisoned. You can't use more than one, though. I actually had the full art of this card, but Ho-Oh GX, I got the promo out because it's much better. Has the move Sacred Fire for 1 fire and 2 colorless. It'll do 50 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. And Phoenix Burn for 180 for 3 fire and 1 colorless. It will not use the move again. And Eternal Flame GX for 1 fire and 2 colorless. You can put 3 in any combination of fire or fire Pokemon GX or Pokemon EX of that same type from your discard pile onto your bench. And that is a very powerful card. I know this card is a promo, but it's actually in Burning Shadows. Tapu Bulu, anybody? Has to move Horn Attack for 30, 1 grass. Okay. Nature's Judgment, very good actually. 120 plus. And for 2 grass and a colorless, you have the option to discard all energy attached to this Pokemon. It'll do 60 for that. And Tapu Wilderness GX for 2 grass and a colorless, same as that. Does 150. You can heal all damage from it. Next up, we have Necrozma GX. It's a promo card and from the same set. Has the ability Light's End. You will not, if you have a colorless deck, you cannot hit this. Has the move Prismatic Burst. For 3 colorless, it'll do 10. But if you have any psychic, you can discard all of that. Why? It'll do 60 more for each card you discard in that way. And Black Ray GX. For that same 3 colorless, it'll do 100 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon GX and EX. And it isn't affected by weakness or resistance. Oh man, I'm running out of breath. Next up, we have Marshadow GX. Has the ability Shadow Hunt. This Pokemon can use the attacks of any basic Pokemon in your discard pile, but you still need the necessary energy to use each attack. And Beat Down for 120 is just 2 fighting and a colorless. And Peerless 100 Blows GX. Yeah, that sounds painful. For 50 times, you could do 50 damage times the amount of basic energy attached to this Pokemon. So, sort of a Shatter Shot sub Mewtwo. Next up, we have the Full Art Ho-Oh GX. Same attacks, but I love the artwork on it. It actually has a Rainbow Rare in the Super Premium Collection featuring Ho-Oh. Next up is honestly the worst trainer, Kiawe. Search your deck for up to 4 fire energy cards and attach them to one of your Pokemon, then shuffle your deck, your turn ends. Really? That's really my first pull from Burning Shadows. I'll be okay with that, but really. Cutting in, we actually have Shining Legends. I actually have 2 Shining Pokemon, by the way. Spoilers ahead, I have actually opened up the collector's chest, and I have pulled a Entei GX. That'll probably be my next upload. Here's a Mewtwo GX. I don't have the Secret Rare Lab one. This one has Full Burst for 30 times. It'll do 30 damage times the amount of energy attached to this Pokemon. Super Absorption for 1 psychic and 1 colorless. It'll do 60. It can heal 30 damage. Wow. And Side Strike GX for 200 is not affected by anything. And it requires 3 colorless. Next up, we have Raichu GX. This is the Raichu I was talking about. Powerful Spark for 20 plus. It'll do 20 more damage times the amount of electric energy attached to your Pokemon. Thunder for 160 for 2 lightning and a colorless. The other one needed 2 colorless. It'll do 30 damage to itself. I don't know why. And Volt Tail GX for 120. And the opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. Similar to Ice Beam GX on Lapras. Next up, we have Entei GX. Has Combustion for 50. 1 fire and 1 colorless. Fire Fang for 100. That'd be for 2 fire and a colorless. The opponent's active Pokemon is now burned. And, sorry about that. Brave Burn GX. It'll have 2 fire and a colorless. It'll do 150 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So, that's actually awesome. Most playable card goes to Zoroark GX. He has the ability Trade. Once during your turn, you may discard a card from your hand and you get draw 2 after that. Riotous Beating for 2 colorless. It'll do 20 damage for each of your Pokemon in play. So it's like Rayquaza's Emerald Break. And Trickster GX. This is literally Phantom Gate for Mega Gengar. You can choose one of your opponent's Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. It's really good, by the way. Here's that same Raichu I got with the same attacks but different artwork. Here's my most recent pull. Here it is, guys. For Entei. Rawr. And here's a Zoroark, by the way. Here's a Zoroark. And here are the 2 shiny cards I was talking about. The first one I ever got was a shiny Volcanion. It has the ability, it has the move Dual Pump. It'll do 50 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon for 3 water energy. And Quad Smash, get this, 4 colorless. It'll do 50 damage times the number of heads if you flip all 4 coins. That'll do like 200. And I can't believe I pulled this, but shiny Rayquaza. The mascot on my channel, I can't believe I pulled it. This is actually really good. It has Dragon Pulse for 40. It has an electric energy on it. That's what you need. And you got to discard the top 2 cards of your deck. And Sky Judgment for 190. Yeah, 190. They'll require 1 fire, 2 electric, and 1 colorless. Discard 3 energy from that Pokemon. It's powerful. Next up, we have Silvally GX. My best pull from actually not really my best pull from this set, but it's actually really good. It has the ability Gyro Unit. Your basic Pokemon play have no retreat cost, so you can move them all. Turbo Drive for 120 for 3 colorless. You can attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. And Rebel GX for 50 times. It'll do 50 damage for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Yeah, it's powerful. Next up is my first full art Ultra Beast. Actually, my first Ultra Beast. Ladies and gentlemen, Kartana GX. Has the ability Slice Off. When you play this Pokemon from your hand on your bench during your turn, you can discard a special energy from one of your opponent's Pokemon. So yeah, watch out. Has Gale Blade for 1 steel and 2 colorless. It'll do 70. You can shuffle it and all of its cards back into the deck. It has Blade GX. 1 steel, take a prize card. It's also red all over. And spoiler alert, I actually got into the new set of Ultra Prism. This will be in my next upload after this one. This is a Super Boost Energy Prism Star. Basically, it provides colorless energy. If you have a Stage 2 Pokemon, it provides every type of energy, but provides only 1 energy at a time. But if you have 3 or more Stage 2 Pokemon play, it will provide 4 at a time. Moving on to promos to finish off, we have a Mega Gengar EX. This is a shiny variant from the Volcanion Magearna Chest 10. Has the move Hollow Geist for 120. Your opponent's active Pokemon is not confused and poison after you attach 3 Psychic and 1 colorless. Next up, we have Flygon EX. Has the ability Voice of the Sands. Once during your turn before you attack this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, you can switch out your opponent's active Pokemon. And Spiral Buzz for 1 grass, 2 fighting, and 1 colorless. It'll do 80. Flip a coin till you get tails. You can spam as much as 30 there. Next up is Aurorus EX. Has the ability Frozen Charm. Each of your Pokemon that has any water energy attached to it cannot be paralyzed. And if any of those are paralyzed, you can remove that condition. And Crystal Breath for 160. That'd be 3 water when a colorless. It cannot attack. So you breathe and you can't attack. Really? What the hell? Next up is Sceptile EX. Has the move Agility. Flip a coin. If heads, prevent all effects of attacks, including damage done to this Pokemon in your opponent's next turn. It's for 20 and it's for Grass Energy. And the move Strong Slash for 3 Grass and 130. It cannot use the move again. So yeah. Next up, we have a Shiny Rayquaza EX from the Shiny Rayquaza EX box. Has the move Mega Ascension for 2 colorless. You can search your deck for Mega Rayquaza and put it into your hand. And Arrow Scream for 130. For 4 colorless, you gotta flip a coin, but if it's tails, you gotta discard 2 energy. So yeah. Next up is Ash Greninja EX. Very badly dented up on the back. Has the move Dancing Shuriken for 1 water and 1 colorless. You can flip 3 coins. It does 20 damage times the number of heads to one of your opponent's Pokemon. And Ninja Blade. 2 water and a colorless. It does 130 and it cannot use Ninja Blade during the next turn. Next up is Pikachu EX. Why not Raichu? I don't know. But it has to move Iron Tail for 30 times. If you flip a coin to get tails, it does 30 damage as long as you have colorless on there. Over Spark for 1 lightning and 2 colorless. It'll do 50. And if you discard all the energy, all the lightning energy, it'll do 50 more of that. This box gave me terrible stuff, but I opened up the Mega Beedrill one. I got absolutely nothing out of it. Either way, the playability is still good. It has Hazard Stinger for 40. It requires 2 grass. You gotta discard all of that, and it's now paralyzed and poisoned. And you can put 4 damage counters during that poison instead of 1 on that. But it's still a good card. Next up, we have the regular Beedrill EX. It has Double Scrapper for 1 colorless. You can discard up to 2 Pokemon tools. And Pin Missile for 40 times for 1 grass and 1 colorless. You can flip 4 coins and be lucky over that. Best Mega Evolution goes to Mega Swampert EX. Has the move Strong Arm Impact for 130. You do 30 more damage, and if you do, discard the top 3 cards of your deck. Actually, this Swampert I actually played against. It was really annoying. Has the move Mud Flood for 40 plus. You can reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, and it'll do 40 more damage to each full water energy card you find there. You can shuffle the revealed cards back in your deck. It'll require 1 water and 2 colorless. And Hydro Tackle for 120. That'll require 2 water and 2 colorless, and it'll do 20 damage to itself. We're already an hour in. Holy shit. Here's an Aerodactyl EX. My Wingman actually has 170 HP. Rock Smash for 30. Flip a coin. It'll do 30 more. It'll require 1 rock and 1 fighting and 1 colorless. And Land Crush for 70. It'll be 1 fighting and 2 colorless for that. Next up, we have Mega Blaziken EX. Don't worry, I'll get to Mega Aerodactyl. It has Moonsault Blaze for 100. 2 fire and 2 colorless. During your next turn, it'll do 200. So that's nice. Mega Aerodactyl EX. Rock Drill Die for 110. That'll require 1 fighting and 2 colorless. It'll do 10 damage to each bench Pokemon, both yours and your opponent's. Yeah, it's pretty dangerous. And we're getting close to the end, guys. We have a Blaziken EX here with Fist of Focus for 1 fire and 1 colorless. You can do 30 and attach an energy card from your discard pile. And Flare Storm for 100 plus for 1 fire and 3 colorless. Flip a coin for each fire energy, and it'll do 20 more damage for that. We also got Empoleon Break here. We're almost through, don't worry. Has Emperor's Command for 1 water, 1 colorless. Does 30 damage times the number of Pokemon you have in play. Actually, your opponent has in play. We also got Behem Break. Has Cosmic Circle for 100. It has 3 Psychic on that. You can move as many Psychic Energy as you can and attach your Pokemon to your other Pokemon for that. And finally, to wrap off, we have Noctowl Break. Night Scan for 60 for 3 colorless. Your opponent reveals his or her hand, and it will do 30 more damage for each trainer card you find there. My voice is already tuckered out. We've gone through every single one of the Ultra Rares I've had so far. And this is my newer channel I'm going to be uploading on. So if you subscribe to the old channel, do unsub and sub to this. I really need the clout and everything. Either way, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Birdtendo. If you're new to Birdtendo 2.0, well, you've already seen my old channel, and I thank you guys for watching this. So peace out, guys, and I'll see you next time. Till then, next upload, you're going to see it.